Welcome to the Show Me the Money podcast, Unlocking Property Finance. Join us on an exciting journey into the world of property finance, where we uncover secrets, strategies, and opportunities that can turn your property dreams into a lucrative reality. Welcome to Show Me the Money, Unlocking Property Finance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Show Me the Money, Unlocking Property Finance. We've had a little bit of a break since the last recording and the last release, but we have got some really exciting guests lined up for the new year, which we'll be sharing more details about. But what we thought we'd do, myself and Mark, would give you a bit of a wrap up of how things have gone this year in the property finance space, and obviously resident broker Mark Champ of War Financial is the best man for the job. And we're also going to talk a little bit about what we think the future holds. So good to see you again, Mark. I think last time I saw you, we were at the Property Investors Awards.
Yes, we were. I was full of cold and it was a good event though. I really enjoyed it. Met some really interesting people. Congratulations to all the award winners there. It was
Absolutely,
it was a good event and definitely some of the creme de la creme of the industry there.
Have you been to one of these before? That was my first event, actually.
Yeah, it was my first. I think I've been to every other award ceremony in the industry, but that was my first time at the Property Investor Awards. So it was good because a lot of the awards I go to are either lender or broker led. This one was actually the people on the ground who are doing the property refurbs, doing the developments and building the portfolio. So it was great to be involved in that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. As a first-time attendee, there were lots of really credible people there who were achieving some great things. And I think actually, even though you pay a lot of money for a ticket to attend these events, and some people might argue it's all about self-promotion and the rest of it, but actually, it's really key because these are people who are making a success of things, even in really difficult market conditions. And actually, it's just a great opportunity to really interact and network with your peers and build solid relationships. And
Yeah, I think
ultimately,
so.
an
I,
opportunities
I
come.
totally agree with that. And I think twofold. One, people in this industry are friendly. They want to help other people. It's not a closed shop where, they're not going to give you trade secrets or anything. They want you to help. They want you to succeed. And they want the whole property investment sector to succeed. So when you go to these places, you meet people. You could find a mentor. You could find somebody you can just ask some questions to and get inspiration from. But for me, it was really good. I went with Roz, who helps me with my social media, who no doubt will get on the podcast at some point, even though she's not let me on her podcast because apparently I'm not female. So we hopefully will get her, but she took me or suggested that I should go along, and I was introduced to the guys at Savoy Properties.
Oh yes, yeah,
And got on really well with them. And now I've attended my first event. They invited me along, so it was great. And it's just these little events you go to that can just grow, and then you can grow your network, and it really does make a difference.
yeah, 100%. And how was the Savoys event?
Yeah, it was good. It was at the House of Lords, so it's a prestigious venue. It was good to meet people who wanted to network. Everybody who was there, and sometimes you go to lender events or industry events with brokers and lenders there, and the people don't really want to be there. It's difficult, but everybody wanted to be there, and they were all of a certain caliber and level where they knew what they were doing, and they had projects that were going on at the moment. So for us as brokers, it was really good, and hopefully we'll be able to introduce some more people to that network.
Fantastic. Yeah, okay, that's great. And it's a busy time of year with events, so it's good to see you've been out
Yeah.
and about as well. I've enjoyed that.
If you've seen my Instagram page, I've been out every night apart from Tuesday this week. Last week I was out every night, and all the way up to I'm out Christmas Eve. I'm even out, and I'm never out on Christmas Eve. So, but I'm taking the kids with me on Christmas Eve. So.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's talk a little bit about what's been happening this year on the in the overall lending space. It's obviously been an up and down year for everybody, but there seems to be some green shoots and some positive outlooks for next year. But let's wrap up what's happened and where it's taken us.
Yeah, so I think when you say it's up and down, I think it has been down and then a little bit up. So my year as a broker, it started. I think there was a bit of a negative vibe. Everybody was expecting um, maybe a recession to kick in or some sort of depression in the property market, and it did happen, and it was more gradual than I think people thought. I think some people were expecting there to be a bit of a crash and it really to hit, but from January it really did. It was slow. It didn't really take off. Nothing really kicked in, and up until September, it was really stagnant. Nothing really going on. Rates were obviously creeping up, or going up quite quickly, and that was causing an issue with the lending, because people just couldn't borrow anything, and it was really difficult for me to really get a foothold in the market and really get anything going. And then when September came, it dipped even further, in my opinion. The 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 5-year fixes weren't as attractive, and the 2-year fixes just they didn't really work on the stress test level.
Yeah.
But we had a really hard period between September and November. But as soon as November ended, December has been so busy. And I don't, and it's people obviously don't think they can get deals through before Christmas, but in December, it has been unbelievable. It's just been deal after deal coming through, and these are people not just wanting to refinance stuff that is falling off the end. It's new projects. So I think these green shoots have shot, and I think it will be really good to see what happens in January.
Yeah. What sort of projects are you seeing more activity in which geographies? And talk to us a little bit about the differences between what you're seeing on bridging and term lending as well.
So, what sort of projects? We're seeing a lot of commercial conversions, commercial to HMO. We are seeing people looking at houses and wanting to split them into flats with the new PD rights coming in soon. The people are looking at those types of projects.
Okay.
We've got some ground up development as well, and it's only small ground up, but I think people are needing to sell this land where they've been land banking for a while,
Yeah.
or they've got a property that's maybe derelict or something. They need to move these on, and it's creating a few more opportunities now. So it's been interesting there, and geography wise, um, we used to do a lot in Coventry, but an Article 4 got put in place there last year, I think it was. So places like Stoke, I think, have benefited from that, and we're seeing some more investment going in there. We've seen quite a bit in Darlington and in the northeast. Um, and where else? Bristol. We've seen
Okay.
some work over in Bristol as well. But it has been a mixture. But I would say the Midlands, where you can still pick up a bargain, and the far north of England is probably the two hotspots I'm seeing.
Okay. And what about with the mortgage lenders themselves? And so obviously we've seen Bank of England base rate has been static now for, correct me if I'm wrong, it's three holds we've had now,
Yeah,
5.25. So that takes us back to September. When was the last one? September.
yeah.
Um, how have what have we been seeing in the swap rates market? Because there's been a lot of lot of buzz in some of the chats that I'm in around the reductions in the 5-year SONIA swap, which typically is obviously a very good indication of what future mortgage rates will look like. But how have you seen any changes in rates or terms or product fees during, let's say, from this November period onwards as well?
Product fees haven't really changed, but the rates have. The buy-to-let lenders, especially with the fintech lenders, have eased off a bit. So where they were high fives, they're now mid fives. So it is more attractive to borrow from them, and it's expected that they're going to come down more. I was speaking to one of the lenders yesterday, and there's a customer that needs to do a refinance of their portfolio. I have 3 with this particular lender, and they suggested just hold off until the start of the year because the rates will come down, and lock the rate in then rather than doing it now. So
Yep.
that's what we're going to do, and hopefully we'll see that those rate reductions increase more. So I believe probably around June time we'll see some actual decent base rate movement. And I think over the next 12 months, I wouldn't be surprised if we see up to a 1% reduction in the base rate.
Interesting. No, that'll be great to see. And obviously, we've got a little while, to go. But definitely seems to be moving in the right direction. I think the other big thing was the inflation data, which came out last week. And what were your key takeaways from that? And obviously, that seems to have positively surprised a lot of people as well. It seems to be moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it does. And every time they say they're expecting a reduction in inflation, it's just a little bit more that we get. So I don't know if that's a bit of spin being put on it to make it sound even better. But we have to remember it is still almost double where it should be. So it's not in the right place still. And there's Professor Trevor Williams who I've been following for quite a long time. He was actually the head economist of Lloyd's when I was there, so I've been following him, and he always believes that the government should be doing more to cut the rates. He doesn't believe that's the answer to inflation um, increasing. So it's really interesting to see there's lots of different views on why inflation is where it is and also where it's going to go. And I know a lot of people have thought inflation is actually a lot higher than it is being reported. So
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think on that?
Yeah, no, it's something I hear quite often, because obviously they take a basket of consumer goods and services to define what inflation is sort of graded against. But I think it's quite often the very poorest that get hit in hard times, and actually the relative inflation for them and what their kind of most usually bought staples are, for example, can be significantly higher. I think if you just take an average shopping basket, for example, the cost of things like, and don't quote me on this, but things like pasta, rice, soups, or whatever, some of those price increases have been certainly significantly higher than what the average inflation rate is. So the cost to those individuals for just buying those staples can be ridiculously high, and that's obviously why the cost of living crisis has probably hit those who are the poorest the hardest. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Not everything falls in within the numbers which get published.
No, they don't, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. There's a few people that believe that it's maybe jumped back up a little bit, and we'll have to see what happens. And I think with the war in Ukraine and also the conflict over in the Middle East as well, that's something that we need to watch, because obviously in times of instability, it really does affect the inflation figures as well. So there's lots of macro things going on in the world that we can't really control. So hopefully everything will be all right, and we'll get back to the good old days of low interest rates and
Or lower lower than today.
lower interest rates and people doing lots of deals, and us as brokers hopefully helping them source the funding.
Yeah, well, I mean, even for myself as an investor, I've got a couple of offers that are out there that are in flight at the moment. So this is definitely a good marketplace for doing deals. I am seeing opportunities, and I think we'll see more and more as we go into next year, which many many peers and colleagues are seeing those sorts of opportunities as well. It's just that long tail effect of I guess some of the apathy or the distress or the situations that people have been experiencing, where they realise that actually now it's just time to get rid of some of these assets which they might have had higher expectations for previously. But it's all
And
good.
also they can't afford to keep them when
Exactly.
usually they've got the funding on them and they need to refinance their 5-year fix or whatever, and it's jumping up from your 2 or 3% up to 5.5, 6%. And especially commercial's so expensive. The rates when you're paying 7+% for a commercial property, it's really difficult to do. And when the margin is, or your profit margin is really squeezed, you're not going to be able to make a profit. And that, at the end of the day, that's why people are in property.
Yeah, and actually, I was just recalling some of the commentary from Joseph, who was our guest previously from Handelsbanken, who made a great point about commercial properties and EPCs and the sustainability angle, which obviously has just sliced so much value off some of those older, energy inefficient commercial buildings, which again just helps in terms of creating more opportunities in the market. But I think it's going to be an interesting year next year. So, what do you think? What do you think are the sort of the opportunity watch areas in terms of types of deals? We talked about a little bit about what you've been seeing in terms of commercial conversions, but from a lender's side, where do you see there potentially being more interesting products or appetite? Anything on the horizon there that you've come across?
Well, one area that I think is that people are missing is serviced accommodation.
Yep.
We are seeing so many inquiries for serviced accommodation. People can't get the yields they want on buy-to-lets, and they're coming to us and saying, right, we're going to do serviced accommodation. We feel it's better, and we're going to get more profit. But the rates are ridiculous. We've been looking around, and I even put a message on LinkedIn yesterday. I posted something saying, can all lenders who do serviced accommodation contact me, because I want to find out who's out there able to do it. And there's, as far as I can see, there's around 3 lenders that do it: West One, Shawbrook, and who's the other one? West One, Shawbrook, and Hampshire Trust Bank. And the rates are around 7.5%. And it's like the customers who are coming to me saying they're wanting to do this, I'm then telling them, saying it's exactly the same property, and it's a short tenancy, obviously a lot shorter, but the profit is higher, but you're going to be paying an extra probably 2% on that money. And I don't understand why it is that lenders are charging so much more for serviced accommodation. Because at the end of the day, if serviced accommodation doesn't work, it's not difficult to get an AST put in place.
Yeah.
So why is it so much more expensive?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think this has definitely given us some good ideas for some guests for next year as well. I think service accommodation on both the operator side and on the lending side, I think it will be a good one for us.
Yeah, because it is literally, you've got those 3 choices, and that's it. There's not many other people out there who will do serviced accommodation. So when you go back to the customer and say it's going to be 2% more, they have to then weigh up, well, is it actually worth doing serviced accommodation? Is a profit still going to be there? And usually it is, but it just seems so expensive in comparison when it's such a similar type of property and risk, really.
Yeah, interesting. It's not something I've got experience of personally, but I think we'll definitely get someone on to talk about that. I think it'd be good to understand. But again, I think, as you say, if we're seeing increased demand, then hopefully we'll start seeing more products being offered to the marketplace as well, where lenders see an opportunity at hopefully slightly more competitive rates as we see the rest of the rates hopefully reduce in time as well.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
I
Just
hope so.
one other thing probably worth mentioning at this stage as well, that the National Planning and Policy Framework was revised and released earlier this week also, which does actually present some opportunities for people who are developing and investing and bringing old properties back. So perhaps we can get somebody in to give us a synopsis of what those key changes are and where the opportunities are for investors and developers moving forward also. But that's certainly something worth looking out for. I think that's kind of it for where we are today. Any final thoughts, Mark?
Not really. I also feature on another podcast, and we did our predictions for 2024. I should ask you, Ro, what you think of these predictions. Let me see if I can get them for you. Bear with me 1 second. There is. Right. These are the questions, and this you have to give me a quick fire answer on this. Will inflation be up, down, or the same as this time next year?
As this time next year, okay, this time next year, I would like to say that inflation will be down, and that's just based on the trajectory that we've been following to date.
Okay.
They've got something right.
Right. Will the Bank of England base rate be up, the same, or down by under 1%, or down by more than 1%?
Well, that's a tough one. We're at 5.25 now, so this time next year, I would like to think, and it's well justified, given where we've seen swap rates pricing in the market and all of the other sort of stabilizing macro factors. I wouldn't be surprised if we are less than 1% lower than where we are today. More than 1% would be amazing, but just being realistic with my assessment of what's happening in the world, just less than 1%, I think, if we're
Right.
lucky.
Okay. Who will be the Prime Minister on Christmas Day 2024?
Well, your guess is as good as mine. Could be anyone, anything. I mean, a bit of stability with the same guy Rishi if he's still there. But there's just too many things working against him and then the Conservative government at the moment. So it just depends on when that next general election is. When is the next election due?
Is it April?
Yeah.
No.
Let's see.
So you need to make a call. Are you going Rishi or are you?
For lack of a better answer, I'd say Rishi.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll be.
You're one
sure
of the
it'll be
only
someone else.
people who has said that. Somebody
Yeah.
even says Suella Braverman. So
Well, let's see if she makes a comeback.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure it won't be Rishi, but I can't think of who is a credible contender at the moment.
Will the average UK house price have increased, stayed the same, or decreased in 2024?
Well, this one always defies logic. I reckon it's probably going to be up.
You think it'll be up?
I think it'll be up. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Who will be the president of the USA on Christmas Day 24?
Oh, is it going to be Donald Trump? Oh, hang on, Christmas Day 24. Okay, yeah. Will it be Biden? Don't know. Probably not. Who will it be? Yeah.
Don't sit on the fence. We need an answer.
It's not going to be Trump. Okay, I'll say Biden. Something's going to happen, and he's still going to be there.
Okay, and the last one: who will win Euro 24?
Well, that's I'm not much of a footballer, but I would have to say that who was it? Who won the last? Who won the Euros?
Who won the Euros before? Was it France? No.
Yeah.
France won. Argentina won the World Cup. Who won the Euros? Italy.
It was Italy, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably Italy would be a strong contender. Can they do it again if it was them?
Right. Okay, fine. And that's it. There were the questions. But we sent that out to probably 15 different lenders and we got the answers. So we'll see who was closest at the end of the year.
Very good. Well, I look forward to seeing where we are with that then. Well, brilliant. Well, listen, this has been really helpful and insightful, hopefully for our guests. So I've enjoyed doing our recording. Looking forward to doing plenty more. So for all of you listening in and watching, you've got some great guests to look forward to in 2024. Mark and I are putting together a plan to help you to unlock property finance, understand how you can up your borrowing game, get maximum efficiency in your applications to get deals over the line swiftly with as little stress as possible. So as a reminder, we've had lawyers to date, we've had people from lenders. We're going to have some more lender guests, so underwriting teams from various lenders on the bridging and the term lending side. We've got monitoring surveyors, quantity surveyors, plus a whole host of other professionals that you would normally engage during your borrowing and development journeys, just to help you to get things across the line a bit more smoothly and answer your questions. But as ever, feel free to send us your comments, your questions and topics that you want us to cover. And we very much look forward to you enjoying and listening in on the rest of the series. So I guess from both Mark and myself, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and look forward to releasing more shows for you in the very near future.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. If people want to follow myself, social media @Wharf Financials with an S on the end, and we'll see you in the new year. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Cheers, Mark.
That concludes another episode of Show Me the Money podcast, Unlocking Property Finance. Connect with us on social media, where we share additional tips, resources, and behind-the-scenes insights. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep making those smart investment moves. This has been Show Me the Money, Unlocking Property Finance.